I mean, they need some kind of medical cannabis advisory board, some kind of medical cannabis strategy. They need to be thinking about how are we going to connect all of the dots on this sort of floodgate because they open the gates and without really a plan.
Back in the day, we were taught, oh man, you need to make these pets vomit. You need to go ahead and, hook them up to fluids and watch them for, for ventilatory support. But the reality is that these effects burn off over a 4 to 6 hour period, and you are left with an absolutely normal pet.
Hi, this is Biff Naked, and you're listening to the Reefer Madness podcast.
It's Reefer Madness, the podcast, with Trevor and Kirk.
Kirk, we're back.
Hey, Trevor, how's it going?
Good. So, I guess we are on the road for this one. Back to visit friend of the show, Ted Smith on Vancouver Island. How about you tell us how you got there?
Yeah, this episode sort of will start a series of road trips I took back in April. I left off in April 20th on 420 and headed west and went off to Victoria. And in the next several weeks, we're going to have a series of road stories that I picked up as I went. This is kind of out of order because, of course, we're in Victoria, but this is a timely story with Ted Smith and the Victoria Cannabis Buyers Club. We've done past stories on these guys. Season 3, episode 4, we started and we met the Buyers Club. We went to episode 86, where we went back and talked about the cost of compassion when Ted was raided and what was it, $6.6 million fine. We get into the fines in this discussion. We talked to Owen Smith, who is also related to the Cannabis Buyers Club. So this is kind of an update for our fans. If you don't know anything about the Victoria's Cannabis Buyers Club, you can go back in our library and check them out. But this is me updating myself with Ted.
All right, let's go check in with Ted.
Well, before we start, let's set the scene. I thought you were going to say something, man. I'm Kirk Nyquist. I'm the registered nurse.
I'm Trevor Schufeld. I'm the pharmacist.
And we are Reefer Madness, the podcast. Thank you for finding us. This interview starts in the Smokers Lounge. I don't even want to call it it's the members lounge. The Buyers Club used to be on Johnson Street. They moved to Kawadja Street in Victoria, and they've just set up a beautiful venue. They have in the back room, they have sort of a rumpus room area, library, posters on the wall. It's like going into the 70s, lamps, and people gather around and meet. And this is where the membership meets. So Ted and I are in the lounge, talking, catching up. In the background, you're going to hear a dog. There's a dog in the room. There's squeaky toys. Lots of noise. Lots of theater of the mind for people. So it's a busy place.
All right. Now can we go to Ted?
Now we can go to Ted.
Excellent.
Let's go into Ted. Ted Smith, you just got raided. Buddy, tell me, sir, what's going on with the Buyers Club?
Okay, well, I guess the day after 420 on April 21st, just minutes after opening, we had our fourth raid by the Community Safety Unit. I guess our 8th raid in total. The first wave was 2002, 2003, and this is the 4th since legalization. And in some ways, it wasn't entirely a surprise, and I probably should have been a little more diligent with just like a couple of our products that we had too much here in the house. But for the most part, honestly, like they didn't even really try to find everything here. They didn't do a thorough search. What they were looking for is financial information that they can use against us when they fine us and come after our landlord. They didn't say that explicitly, but I'm quite positive that their play is to come after our landlords here now.
Right. So that goes back to the lawsuit that happened how many years ago? It's what, 6.6 million total? Like your 3.3 and the community's 3.3?
Well, they actually dropped my 3.3.
Okay.
So it went down to 3.2, and then with interest, it's back up to 3.7 and growing. $10,000 a month.
They're charging you interest on the fine?
So
I love that.
Yeah, right? And so we're still disputing that, but it's been awkward. It's been caught up in administrative appeals. And while we filed a lawsuit and an injunction 3 years ago after the last raid, that's been kind of sitting on the back shelf pending all these administrative appeals we've been going through. That finally finished in the fall. We filed a judicial review to look at, basically the whole shit and caboodle. And now, especially, we're working hard to expedite that and have that judicial review occur as soon as possible. So collecting some expert witnesses and some affidavits from people as hard as we can right now for that. But really, for the most part, as long as they were leaving us alone, we weren't really pushing that hard in court either. We filed things, they're proceeding slowly, but the province hasn't been pushing for it either. So it didn't seem like they were in a rush to prosecute, or certainly not in a rush to get a legal decision here. So,
I make the assumption, knowing you and knowing your history, that if you were to lose the provincial, it's going to appeals court. You're taking it all the way. Right?
Yeah, we've got at least one round of appeal afterwards.
Yeah, and then you can take it to the Supreme Court if they choose to read it.
Getting to the Supreme Court, isn't always easy. We got really lucky with Owen's trial that we had a dissenting judge at the Court of Appeal.
Yeah.
Because if you go to a Court of Appeal and get all three judges on your side, it's really hard to get all the way to the Supreme Court.
Right.
That being said, if we win at the Court of Appeal with all three judges, that should be enough anyway. Certainly we'll be exhausting every avenue. If we do lose at the next level of court, though, that'll be a significant blow, and the government might not wait to proceed on further actions. They're also right now proceeding to take my girlfriend's home away. She was on the board of directors in the earlier raids. So that's the notice we got a month ago that should have tipped me off that they were doing more, but we were hopeful that was just kind of procedural stuff that was just following through on fines that had already been issued. But now when we look at the combination of this recent raid and that proceeding, it does seem like they're moving ahead to shut their club down in any way possible.
They took $100,000 worth of product?
Well, we won't know until they come back. That was what I estimated.
Okay.
And I assume that they would have looked and taken more than they did.
Yeah.
So there was probably $100,000 worth of product in the store, and they raided it, but they didn't get it all.
Okay.
Those were that was my estimate when we were still in the midst of the raid.
Okay.
So luckily it was less than that, but still, it's tens of thousands of dollars of medicine that they got. Right? Yeah.
That's a lot of pot.
There's actually some of the concentrates that I had more of than I should have.
Okay.
Yeah, because I'd sort of bought more than I realized, and then I saw I stopped purchasing more, and they caught us before I sold it all off. And I should have just put it some other site, but it had been 3 years since the last raid, and for the most part, we were pretty diligent about things, but there's that one loss where there's, probably 10 or 20 grand worth of stuff that shouldn't have even been in here.
That's way too much. And now you've got a sign on the door saying that, what's that about? Why is that?
Well, after they do their investigations, they hope that it stays up for 30 days.
And that's
I
to
guess
warn
typically
people
it
off?
gets taken down. It's to notify the public. I guess typically people that are caught in these kinds of raids are trying to hide what they're doing, so they think this is a way of exposing them.
Okay.
And ironically, when he gave it to us, he's like, "Well, I'm not going to put this up because I assume you'll take it down right away anyway."
No
and
way.
we're like, "No, we have nothing to be ashamed of here. You should be ashamed of what we're doing, but we want everyone to know that you've robbed us and that this has happened here." So we'll probably keep that up for longer than the 30 days we're required to.
Fantastic.
Just because we want, we're not embarrassed, we're enraged at what's happening. We're going to call our government to task for it, but
as you should.
We're not going to pretend it didn't happen.
Well, it's funny. I come to Victoria once every 2-3 years it seems, but I was asking some friends last night about the Buyers Club and said, "So tell me, do you guys hear anything about the Buyers Club?" And they both sat and thought about it and said, "The Buyers Club. The only time we really hear about the Buyers Club is when Ted makes something and Ted wants to say something, but otherwise, no, the Buyers Club is No, it's pretty quiet. Like, unassuming. No one really thinks about it or cares about it.
Yeah.
So is that a West Coast mentality? Is that because you've been here forever, you're part of the fabric? I mean, you've told me before that City Council doesn't bother you. City Council likes you. You got all the permits.
Well, we're not quite there yet. We're working through a rezoning.
Okay.
And, but, case in point, when we had our rezoning hearing, because we had to have a neighborhood public hearing for that, the neighborhood's pretty much indifferent.
Yeah.
We have supporters, right? Like patients that need our medicine, obviously.
Right.
But we're not, a public nuisance in any way, shape, or form.
Yeah.
We do our very best not to be that, to not be like in anyone's face here.
Right.
But still present.
Sure.
Right. So in a way, what your friends described is exactly
what you want.
The role that we want. That people know we're here. If you need help, there we are.
Yeah.
But we're not aggressively pushing our services, and like a lot of people don't even know we're here in town until we get raided.
Right.
It's like what are they doing? Right. Like.
So remind me, what is your services? How has this organization grown or shrunk or changed in the last 2-3 years?
How have we changed? Well, we've been adding some more really amazing RSO products for cancer patients. Last year, we were even able to start giving discounts to some of the RSO products to cancer patients, like fairly good discounts as well, which I'm really proud of.
So when you say discount, measured from what? What's the measuring stick when you say you're giving a discount compared to the commercial shops?
Well, everything that we sell is pretty much cheaper than what you can buy in the legal recreational stores.
Right.
Except actually, like a lot of the cannabis in the legal system has caught up with us.
Okay.
Right. The prices and the quality have been improving in the legal system. So, you can buy fairly comparable herb. It might not be as fresh or locally grown, but, certainly that's not what we pride ourselves on here anyways.
Okay.
It's the alternatives, right? The suppositories, the capsules, the creams and stuff like that. Now, I don't know what all the prices are in the legal system.
Okay.
That's a whole other thing. But I do know that we sell jars of RSO, they're an ounce, for $200 to most of our patients.
Okay.
Now, $200 is like, $6 a gram. That's typically what people pay for bud, let alone a concentration.
So therefore, that's a good deal. That's
a good deal. Our cancer patients get it for $100.
Okay.
So, that's a significant discount. Even here, let alone compared to the legal market, where products that have 10 milligrams can often cost $10.
Yeah. Okay.
And so that's 1,000 milligrams for $100.
Yeah. Can you even get RSO in the commercial market? Because it's beyond
but
10
small
milligrams.
amounts, and like they are selling larger volumes now.
Oh, are they?
Yeah.
But it still can't be more than 10 milligrams, can it?
Per dose. So now they're selling like bottles of stuff.
Okay.
Bigger things.
Okay.
Honestly, I haven't even looked fully into what is available, but there is, RSOs and those types of products.
Okay.
But the thing is the general public's not looking for that.
No,
the general public wants shatter. They want diamonds. They want, if anybody's into the concentrates, RSO is this like black tar gooey shit that nobody wants to use. They don't smear it on the rolling papers anymore. So like we've got some old members that are still stuck in that. They'll still smoke their RSO, but typically the RSO is eaten by cancer patients, people in significant pain, dealing with trying to get off opioids, that sort of thing, right?
Right.
So the market's not catering to that. They're not even trying.
Okay.
So
now I cut you off when you were telling me about how the club has changed or what's new with the club.
For me that's been one of our biggest and best changes is improving our product line. The other part that's changed is we're trying to now come out with 4-to-1 ratio, 4 THC to 1 CBD.
Okay.
Because have you heard about the impact on the liver and drug interactions
CBDs,
yet?
yes. Yeah.
So, the 4-to-1 ratio seems to be the sweet spot for fighting cancers and stuff. So, trying to come out with our RSO products first, but more of that. And I'm really that. So, just constantly improving our product line to me is one of the most important things that we do here.
I just interviewed Dr. Neary in Regina. He is a PhD pharmacist researching concussions and using CBD isolate as a preventative medicine for concussions.
Yeah.
He's funded by the NFL.
Cool.
And he's giving people like mega, like you're talking about big athletes, like 6'4", 200 pound, big guys. He's giving them massive doses of CBD. And I asked him about the liver enzymes. And he says that they do the liver enzymes every so often, but there's been no change that he's noticed with these massive doses. So I'm wondering,
but they're probably not taking blood thinners or anti-seizure drugs
Correct.
and stuff.
Correct.
Those are the ones you got to worry about, because then those drugs will build up in your system.
Okay.
But if they're not taking other drugs, there's nothing to worry about.
Okay,
in
very
the
good.
CBD. No, it's just the drug interactions with anything that grapefruit will interact with.
Right.
You know, how grapefruit, people warn. Well, it's funny because grapefruit doesn't make the other drugs act differently. It just makes them last longer.
Yeah.
And that's what CBD does.
Okay.
And along those lines, when we were investigating into that, one of the other and even the most significant change I should have started with was last summer. We really changed our almost our mandate and our function in that we've now hired pharmacists and added new component to our sign-up procedure in that our local pharmacist here now vets every new member
Wonderful.
and looks up their profile to see what other drugs they're being prescribed, to see if there's any potential drug interactions. And so
Wonderful.
Once we do the initial intake, he looks up their information. We get a new page for every new patient on a risk assessment, and if it's a high risk at all, and we contact them and have a phone call, or he will contact them immediately. We haven't had a case of that yet.
Yeah.
But it's really wonderful to both have reassurance that I've got a medical professional looking into potential drug interactions, because we have so many elderly patients coming in here that are taking all sorts of other medications and things, and they're often looking for CBD in particular, which ironically is more sort of tricky than THC in this aspect.
Yeah.
So so it's wonderful to have that back up, but it's also really important for us to have third-party professional medical oversight of the gatekeeper role. So we're taking the gatekeeper role from the doctor. We're changing this from a medical club to a harm reduction club. So instead of arguing it's medical, because we don't have DIN numbers for nothing,
right,
we're arguing that it's just a safer alternative than the other drugs that these patients may be using.
It's a good argument.
So it takes the emphasis away from doctors who don't know this plant medicine. They don't know how to prescribe it. They don't know its drug interactions. They don't know its long-term effects. They don't want to.
Yeah.
It's a plant medicine. It's out of their realm. So it doesn't need to be shoved down their throat as Health Canada's done for decades now. We think that pharmacists are much more appropriate and safe in that role, but it's limited. Their role here is drug interactions. We're the specialists in cannabis, so we talk about what creams to use, what capsules to try, what combinations. The pharmacist isn't trying to again speak to a drug that really they're not an expert in. They're an expert in all the other drugs and,
right,
and potential interactions. So I think that this model actually is one that could really fit, and if we do survive this phase and start to help other nonprofits across Canada grow, it will be in partnership with pharmacists.
And that's what we're discovering too. Like lots of pharmacists are actually putting their shingle up in rec stores and saying, if you have any questions about medical cannabis,
heard this.
and with us on our podcast, we've had two episodes on just this, right? And I think it's marvelous. Did you last time I talked to you, we talked about getting you a nurse or getting a doctor involved with the community. Has that happened at all? Nurses have stepped forward?
I haven't had any luck in that. Now, I haven't put in a lot of extra effort since we've talked, and since we've moved here. Really, my staffing levels have been quite low.
Yeah.
Some days like today, I have one person here with me. I'm making all the capsules. I'm rolling all the joints. I'm answering the phones. It's hard to get past that to do the advocacy.
Sure.
And so there's a bunch of areas like that I just haven't had.
Because there's nurses, I'm on my way to Alberta. I'm going to meet up with a nurse in Edmonton. She's holistic nursing. She's now a cannabis nurse, clinical cannabis nurse. She's not a prescriber, but she's a clinical cannabis. So they're out there.
Yep.
They're out there. And of course they bill insurance companies for their services as nursing care. So they're out there. And I mean, I've said to you, if I lived in Victoria, I'd be here.
No doubt.
I would be your nurse because I find this fascinating. In my world, I don't have any call for clinical nursing in cannabis in small town Manitoba. Right?
Yeah.
So still the stigma is still very much alive. So what else? What haven't I asked? What haven't I asked you that we should update on? What's going on? Yourself, you're well. You're good.
I'm doing well, thank you. Yeah.
You carry a lot on your shoulders. Like this is your gig, right? You're the captain of this ship, and the navigator, and also obviously the nurse.
And dishwasher. Too.
And dishwasher, yeah.
And I feel very blessed to have been given such a strong body and soul to take this on.
Yeah, 30 years, right?
We just had our 30-year anniversary in January. Had a fantastic party to celebrate it.
Yeah, once again, I wish I was here.
Fair.
Yeah. Here's another question for you. You know what? I should ask this question. I'm gonna, and I might parse this off of the conversation. 420, right?
Yep.
I was in Moose Jaw for 420. I made it to Moose Jaw, so I went to there. Do we need 420 anymore? Is 420 important, or what's happened to 420?
Well, in a way, it's been sad what's happened to 420 because the legal industry seems to find no purpose in celebrating our culture, and so I think what's happened to 420 is that I was at a conference in Vancouver a couple weeks ago. I came up with this great analogy where cannabis culture didn't get uprooted here; we got cloned, and so the mother plant, the original culture. Was left behind, and our government here took a little slice of it, and we've had to grow new roots and a completely new environment. It's like being taken from outdoors and cloned and moved indoors into an industrial setting. Okay. And in that process, the old roots of 420 have been taken away. It wasn't made legal because of its cultural significance. It was made illegal because the government wanted to take us away from us, essentially, right? And so, there are some signs that 420 is coming back. They had a pretty big one in Vancouver, I understand, this year, the biggest they've had since legalization.
Okay, that's good.
Actually ours this year wasn't so bad either. Okay. It's changed. The urge to protest isn't there like it once was. Obviously here, we still have some things that we feel we need to protest, and getting raided the day after just, made that home, brought that home.
At least they allowed you to celebrate 420, because they could have raided you.
They could have came that day, which would have been very frustrating and sad and all sorts of
So maybe
things.
that was kind of them. I don't know.
Well,
I don't know.
and so but in a way, obviously 420 has some strength because they waited till after that because they know that it would have just brought out more people to protest and given me more power if they'd have done it beforehand.
That's true too, because you would have brought 420 here.
Oh. No. Well, if we'd had 420 at the ledge on a nice day after we've been raided, like the week before.
Oh, I see, yeah.
Like, we would have had thousands of people there in support.
Yeah.
Right? As opposed to, a couple dozen people there.
Yeah. But if they had raided on 420, you would have had to have come back.
Yeah. It would have ruined the day. Yeah. I'm thinking more about, like, if they'd have raided the week beforehand, then it would have just brought attention to us. And if they would have rated us on 422, like the whole world would have heard of that one because that's just like, too much of a coincidence.
Well, there you have it. Part one of Kirk's conversation with Ted Smith, who operates the Victoria Cannabis Buyers Club. and all part of a series of shows coming up where Kirk is traveling once again through Western Canada gathering stories. We're going to continue Kirk's conversation with Ted in episode 179, part 2, followed by Trevor and Kirk going over what they gleaned from the conversation and teeing up some future conversations. Thanks for listening to Reefer Madness, the podcast.
Check out the complete library of Reefer Madness episodes at reefermed.ca. And make sure to follow us on all the socials for bonus info on what Trevor and Kirk are up to.
You guys are great. You're great. You're articulate. You're funny. You're generous, and the questions you ask are really, really great. They're personable and they're smart.